I'm so sick to my stomach right now, I didn't even know how to type this or where to even start. Okay, after we got the second note yesterday, shit hit the fan. Carrie immediately called Kyle's school and told the principal about both notes and how the second one threatened Kyle's friends. The principal immediately sent out an email to the school listserv with the details, letting parents know that the school was probably the safest place to be, but they were welcome to pick up their kids if they wanted to. All of the classes are pretty small, so each teacher was also instructed to call their students' parents personally. We got the email about 15 minutes later, but decided to leave Kyle at school, at least for now. Our security system was installed yesterday, but the school still feels safer at this point. It also gives Kyle some kind of normalcy. I talked to him yesterday about what was happening, and he seems to grasp how serious it is. The first thing he said to me was, "I'm sorry," and started crying, like this was somehow his fault. I know just how you feel, buddy. Kyle feels guilty for giving us the note, and we feel guilty for somehow setting off this psychopath. I guess that's what this sicko wanted, though. Well, he succeeded. Pretty fucked up. I called my boss and was given yesterday and today off work. I tested out the security system and made sure all the windows and the doors were secure. I also called as many neighbors as possible to let them know what was going on. It's weird having to tell your across the street neighbor who's nearing 90 there may be a serial killer, pedophile on the loose and to keep her doors and windows locked. She couldn't hear me very well, but I hope she got the picture. Same deal with the woman a couple of doors down who has 2 kids in middle school herself. I saw her as she was walking a dog, and she freaked out right there on the spot and pulled out her cell phone and just started dialing her husband frantically. Then I get the call from Detective Carr. They'd gotten the search warrant and executed it on 3 Orange Circle. Remember, this house is 1 street over, less than a quarter mile from our house. If I had stood on my roof, I could have possibly watched them go in. I let out a large sigh of relief when he said that no one was living there. It was good to know that this person wasn't hunkered down in our neighborhood, watching us. The detective said that he did find some evidence, although he refused to tell me what it was. He said it could compromise the case. This leads me to believe that the house was used for something. Maybe he took his victims there. There was a basement, too, with a thin concrete floor which looked newer than it should, he said. He believes that if Susan Carrington is dead, she might be buried in the basement. They're gonna dig it up, starting tomorrow or the next day. Oh, also, Detective Carr found Susan's missing persons file. There's not much there, but the detective that worked her case still lives here. He's retired, but he's willing to talk. Detective Carr wants to find out if there's anything he saw or heard back in '95 that could help. Something he may not have included in the file because he didn't think it was important. Right now, it's the only lead they have. I think they're supposed to talk today. Okay, I've been putting this last part off, but I have to tell you everything. My hands are shaking as I type this. I woke up this morning and went to get the paper immediately, hoping there'd be an article warning everyone about this psychopath. At least then, I could rest a little easier, knowing most people in town would be prepared. Instead, I read this. Police on the hunt for child's kidnapper. Oh shit. Everything suddenly became real. I think somewhere deep down, I hope this guy was just some sort of deranged individual who wouldn't really act out his threats. But when I read the headline, that all came crashing down. I skimmed through until I found the boy's name. He wasn't a close friend of Kyle's, but I knew who he was. He's on Kyle's t-ball team. I know his parents. His parents pulled him out of school yesterday after the email went out. Fuck, how terrible they must feel. I hurt so badly for them right now, and I don't even want to talk about Carrie. She's beside herself. Even though it's not our son that was taken, this is our worst nightmare. No one deserves this. Of course, there was another note, sent to the paper this time, so the entire town could read it. Since then, I've heard the police chief is furious at them for printing what basically amounts to a piece of evidence. The editor of our paper would never miss a chance like this though, but it may cost him his job. They'd redacted the names, but I knew they were ours, and so would everyone else. In a small town like this, everyone knows.
Greetings. I see you. You don't see me, and now all the others do too. The masks on your faces are broken in places, and the darkness is now shining through. What darkness, you say? Oh, you know. The past is a fickle old hag. She sneaks up in silence and dishes out violence, wipes the knife on her sleeve like a brag. You couldn't just follow instructions. You pushed me to do this, you know. And now it's your fault as I open the vault and let all of your dark secrets go. But first, I've got a new toy, and new things always make me grin. I'll wind him up tight when today turns to night, and that's when the fun will begin. Unless, yes, unless, like the Onceler once said, you'd rather me not have my fun. I'd consider returning young Andrew who's yearning to break free from his chains and to run. But first, it's truth time. 10 years ago, and I think you know just where I'm going. Remember your ass pressed up to the glass, and the man in the car you were blowing.
I just sat there, shocked. He's not only trying to scare us, he's trying to ruin our lives. I called Carrie immediately, shaking, and asked her what in God's name he could be talking about. Had she ever cheated on me? She denied everything, of course. She's at work today, but I'm going to have to talk with her when she gets home. I wonder if there's something she isn't telling me, or if this lunatic is just making this shit up to hurt us. I can't think about that right now. I just want to find Andrew, and I'm hoping Detective Carr can get in touch with that old detective today. He may be Andrew's only hope. Carrie and I met about 16 years ago, late 2001, I think at a church picnic. I was relatively new to town, so when one of my co-workers asked me to tag along with him on a Sunday afternoon, I took him up on it. I'd always heard churches and supermarkets were the best places to meet wholesome, single women, and that turned out to be right. That afternoon, I met the most beautiful girl that I'd ever seen. She was standing behind a bowl of fried chicken, a greasy apron reading Union Street Methodist Church, laughing as she doled out her legs and thighs and breasts to people's plates. I remember her blonde hair was pulled up in a tight ponytail and swung to the side as she turned her head, like a cheerleader or something. I was hooked from the moment I saw her. After lunch, I struck up a conversation with her and we hit it off immediately. We started dating soon after and were married in October of 2002. That was the best day of my life. The second best was the day Kyle was born. Reading the note that Psycho sent to the paper tore my heart in two. My first thought was not my Carrie. Even though she denied ever cheating on me, I couldn't get the image of my wife of 15 years in a car with some other guy, doing that, no less, out of my head. By the time she got home last night, I was angry. Seething, actually. As soon as she stepped in through that door, I confronted her, the newspaper clutched in my hand. "Why weren't you answering your texts?" "Sorry, babe, I got busy. You know how my boss is. I can't have my phone out while I'm working." "You've always been able to text before. What's going on?" The look on her face told me everything. She wasn't a good liar and I could tell something was up. For some reason, this made me less angry. She looked hurt. "Nothing, Dean." She wouldn't look at me. She moved into the living room where Kyle was watching TV and told him to go to his room. She started picking up things off the couch like she was cleaning. "I know that look. You're a terrible liar." "Babe, please. Andrew is missing and this psycho has him. If any part of that letter is true, you have to tell me. Whatever it is, we'll get through it." It felt like a lie, hot and searing in my throat, but I said it anyway. She stared at me, tears welling in her eyes. Then she just broke down. She crumpled onto the couch and sat there with her head in her hands, sobbing. I sat down beside her and rubbed her back. "Carrie, it's okay." My heart was thumping out of my chest at this point. It's such a terrible feeling to know that you may be seconds away from hearing something that can never be taken back, and might change everything.
"I didn't think it had something to do with this."
What? What is it? Just tell me.
"I swear it was a mistake. I never meant for it to happen."
Just tell me, Carrie, please." She wiped the mascara off her face.
"It was that weekend you were out of town with some of your friends. It was so long ago, 8 or 9 years.
I remember. I'd gotten together with some college buddies, which didn't happen very often. We hadn't made it back until late Sunday night.
Me and the girls, we went to the bar that Friday night. I swear I didn't think I drank that much. I had a couple of beers, I think, but no liquor and no shots. And there was this guy there, and
what, Carrie?" She looked at me finally.
"Don't make me say it."
"It's true?"
"Oh shit, I'm so sorry. I remember sitting at the bar next to Jenny and a guy coming up and talking to us. Next thing I remember is sitting in his car in that parking lot by the river. I couldn't remember how I got there. I was so ashamed. I swear, we didn't have sex. He wanted to, but I said no."
I'm tearing up by this point, holding back anger.
Just some random guy in a parking lot? Fuck. I'm trying to understand, Carrie. I know, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know what happened. I've never done anything like that before. And no, not random. That's the fucked up part about all of this. I met him at the church.
At church? Our church?
That Friday was a service day. We were going to Gentle Hills, the nursing home on Silver, to visit the residents. The youth group does this thing called clowning. They dress up as clowns and paint their faces and bring balloons to the nursing home residents who can't get out. They absolutely love it. I brought the idea to the adult Sunday school class and they wanted to do it too. When we met at the church, that guy was there. I'd never noticed him at the church, but I assumed that he was just someone's friend. Dean?
I was speechless by this point, tears rolling down my face. I was devastated, but I didn't have to tell her that. She knew.
I'm so sorry. Did he tell you his name? Ray, I think. If he told me his last name, I don't remember. Dean, I know what you're thinking. It couldn't be the same guy. He was just a normal guy. Jeans, button-down shirt, clean cut. He seemed pretty drunk, but otherwise he seemed normal. I think he said that he was an accountant. He did make some joke about us making good-looking children together, but I just chalked it up to him trying to tell me I was pretty. I think I joked about not wanting to ever have kids. That was obviously before we had Kyle, though. Maybe this psycho saw us somehow. Maybe he was out there by the river. I don't know. Have you seen this guy since then? She looked like she didn't want to answer. Carrie, he called me, okay? The next day. I guess I'd given him my number. He said he wanted to see me again, that he was in love with me. I was so ashamed, I didn't know what to say. I just hung the phone up on him and blocked his number. I swear, I never saw him again. I just wanted to forget about it. Never? I haven't seen or heard from him since. I swear to God. She turned to face me. Dean, I'm so sorry. I don't have any excuses for what happened. I guess I just drank more than I should have and I made a terrible mistake. I know I've ruined everything, and now all of this with the kids. Please, babe.
I got up right then and left her on the couch, sobbing. If I would have said anything, it would have been, "It's over." But I couldn't bring myself to say that either. I loved Carrie, still do, but I knew that I had to get away from her for a little while at least. I blamed her for not telling me about what happened as soon as we got the first note from Kyle, even though there really was no reason for her to think the two things were related. I went into Kyle's room and sat down on his bed. He was on the floor playing with some figurines. When he saw me sit down, he looked up and asked me if the bad man was coming to get me. Is that why Mummy's crying? I got down on the floor and hugged him close. I hadn't told him about Andrew yet. Wasn't sure if I ever would. No, I won't let that happen, buddy. Not ever. Understand? I'm your dad, and it's my job to protect you, and that's what I'm gonna do. I promise. I hope he believed me. I didn't talk to Carrie for the rest of the night. Avoiding her felt awful, especially with what she was dealing with, but I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't stand the thought of talking to her. Late that night, probably around 10, Detective Carr called. I got off the couch and walked onto the back porch as he talked. Carrie was asleep in the bedroom and I didn't want to wake her. He'd gone out to the retired detective's house and talked to him about the Carrington case. The detective remembered it well. He said that people don't go missing in our small town very often, apparently, and this case was particularly troubling to him. Young girl from a good family suddenly disappears without a trace and he couldn't bring her home? It still haunted him. He confirmed the information Carr found on the missing persons report. Susan was last seen at a 24-hour gym. The friend who'd seen her, Emily, he recalled, said Susan was excited about seeing a guy she'd met the night before. She wanted to work on her arm so that she'd look good in a sleeveless top. Weird things like that he remembered for some reason. She was a good girl for being 21 years old. She never frequented the bars around town and never got in any trouble. Her main social outlet was her church, he said. My heart skipped a beat when he said it. What church? Union Street, Detective Carr answered. Why? Union Street. Our church. I knew I had to tell Carr about what Carrie did. Telling him made it even more real somehow, and the wound was ripped open again as I recounted every detail. Even though Carrie didn't think the guy that she cheated with was the same guy who'd taken Andrew, Detective Carr did, and Union Street was the connection. Carrie had met Ray at Union Street, and maybe Susan had too. If that was correct, they may be the same person. He wondered at first why Carrie didn't recognize Susan's name from church, but I told him Carrie hadn't moved to town until sometime in '99. Detective Carr agreed. Susan's case would have been long out of the public eye by then. He got off the phone hastily, saying that he had some leads to track down. I knew he wouldn't be sleeping anytime soon. After I hung up the phone, I sat on the back porch and looked into the blackness of the backyard, where Kyle stood as a stranger crept through the gate and left the terrifying note that started all of this. Why the note to Kyle? Why now, after almost 10 years? I knew one thing. Whoever this creep was, he liked to dress up as a fucking clown, and he used the church as his hunting ground. I climbed back on the couch, but didn't sleep well. I knew there'd be a crew at 3 Orange Circle in the morning, ripping up a newly poured concrete floor, and I kept picturing the shallow grave that they'd surely find beneath, with the bones of Susie Carrington inside. I hoped Andrew wouldn't suffer the same fate. This morning, there was no article in the paper as I'd hoped. There wouldn't have been time for Detective Carr to get the information to them. However, I was listening to the radio at breakfast, and during the morning show, they interviewed Detective Carr. He instructed people to stay indoors after dark and make sure all the doors and the windows were safely secured. Then, he gave a description of the subject that they were looking for. Early to mid-40s, Carrie's and my age, probably college educated, clean cut, regular job, possibly an accountant at one time. It's possible he projects the image of a put-together adult, but alone feels more like a child. He may moonlight at children's parties doing balloon animals or face painting, or could possibly be a small Santa or Easter bunny. He also may attend children's t-ball games, So be on the lookout for anyone who fits that description who isn't a relative of one of the children playing. He also may be named Ray. He's smart, he continued, and cunning. He wants the attention he's getting. It's what fuels him, which also means it's possible he's mentally ill. He's killed once and he may do so again. Do not confront this individual if you see him. Call the police. On the way back from Kyle's school, I drove by 3 Orange Circle. There were 2 police cruisers and a construction truck out front. They'd put some crime scene tape up, and I could see someone holding 2 buckets coming from around the back of the house. He reached the front yard and dumped what appeared to be broken chunks of concrete into a green dumpster bag. I guess that was the only way to get them out of the basement. Then he turned back and toward the back of the house. I could almost hear the jackhammer doing its brutal work down there in the dark.